Thank you so much, everybody, for joining us today. The Ohio chapter of the American Academy of Pediatrics is a statewide organization that promotes the health, safety, and well-being of children and adolescents so they can achieve their dreams. With membership of more than 2,900 Ohio pediatricians and residents, Ohio AAP is the state's strongest network of education and advocacy professionals focused on pediatrics. In 2024, Ohio AAP members impacted more than 1 million children through quality improvement programs and education in Ohio and across the country. The planners, faculty, and others in control of the content have no relevant financial relationships with ineligible companies. They have considered the speaker toolkit standards in preparing this presentation. It is our intent to foster respect, belonging, support, and accountability with regard to the patients that we serve. If you have any questions, concerns, or comments, please contact Dr. Kelsey Logan at the email listed on the slide. Dr. Sarah Adams is a pediatrician with Akron Children's Hospital in Hudson, Ohio. She received her Bachelor of Science degree at the University of Akron and medical degree from the University of Cincinnati College of Medicine. Working as a pediatrician for over 28 years, she enjoys incorporating her real-life experiences as a mother of 2 boys into her pediatric practice. Dr. Adams is a member of the Mental Health and Wellness Committee, Peer Mentoring Committee, and Patient Experience Committee at Akron Children's Hospital. Community outreach and promoting healthy lifestyles mentally and physically in children and their families has led her to start her own podcast called Growing Up with Dr. Sarah and speak for surrounding communities as well as at the Ohio AAP's annual meeting. She's currently the medical director of the Parenting at Mealtime and Playtime program through the Ohio AAP, a member of the Ohio AAP Foundation Advisory Board and Child Health Pillar, and she sits on the executive board as a delegate at large. She's passionate about improving the way families use media, health and wellness, bullying prevention, and adolescent medicine. Dr. Sarah Adams resides in Hudson, Ohio, with her husband, John, and dog, Gus. Thank you so much, Dr. Adams, for being with us today. Before we begin, we will take a few moments to fill out this survey. Please use your phone to scan this QR code.
Thank you, Sahavi, for that amazing introduction. I want to let everyone know that the survey is also in the chat, so you can continue to work on that as we get started. We all know that children today are immersed in digital and social media more than ever, but how much media consumption is really too much? In this presentation, we're going to cover ways pediatricians and pediatric healthcare providers can help parents and caregivers strike a healthy balance. I'd like to share the objectives that are listed today, and hopefully by the end of this presentation, we'll be able to create some understanding and guide families in creating that balance, those boundaries, and ways to communicate with their kids about healthy digital literacy. I'm going to teach you something called the 5 C's of healthy digital habits, collaborate families to show some positive role modeling in their own behavior, and define media use and how it impacts children's lives. We'll also be sharing some resources as well. So next slide, please. As we begin our conversation, it's really important to define media because there's so much wide spectrum of what really constitutes media. So when we say media, we're talking about smartphones, televisions, video games, social media, smart speakers, apps, basically anything that's connected to the internet, whether it's at home, at school, it's really ubiquitous. And that's why finding a balance is so important. Next slide. We're raising children in a world that's always on right now. And it can be really hard and surprising that and it's not surprising that most parents are concerned that their kids are spending way too much time on screens. So it's helpful to remind parents that media use comes with both benefits and risks. So on the positive side, children can be exposed to new ideas, they gain new knowledge and skills, they learn empathy, tolerance. They can strengthen connections with peers and stay in touch with families that live far away. I know I have. But media can also have negative impacts and can contribute to numerous health risks like obesity, sleep disturbances, mental health issues, problems at school, and more. School problems, aggression, and these behavior issues can also be caused by this imbalance between the child's online and offline life. Next slide. So we need to consider these approaches, that balance, the boundaries, and communication. So let's start with balance. So figuring out that right balance between online and offline time is really an important topic to discuss. We want to really reinforce to parents that there's like no universal screen time limit that applies to every child. However, they can talk to their families about what approach is appropriate to ensure their children are getting adequate sleep, that they're getting daily activity, time for play, reading and discovery, and time with people that they care about to focus and learn and not just multitasking. So that's balance. We want to create balance. We want to create some boundaries, and that refers to setting limits around what kids are sharing about themselves online or social media, setting limits about where they spend time online and when they use technology. Remind parents to talk to their children about the type of personal information that are not appropriate to post on social media. That can help protect them from a variety of negative outcomes like bullying, unwanted solicitation, or embarrassment. And it's important to remind parents to talk to their children about spaces to avoid and what to do if unwanted, inappropriate information comes up in their child online. And I hate to say it, it will. And communication, communication, communication. I can't stress enough that it's so important to encourage parents to talk to their children early and often about technology and media. It's okay if they don't know the ins and outs of every platform their child uses. Believe me, it changes so often. I know as a parent, it was really hard for me to keep up. But their role is to create a space where children feel comfortable coming to them with concerns and experiences using technology. So, establishing home rules for social media, technology use, as soon as the child begins using these tools is really a good way for parents to promote healthy technology use from the start. Next slide. So one of the resources I'm going to share again later at the end of the slide presentation is something called the AAP has the Center of Excellence of Social Media and Youth Mental Health. And they created through evidence-based research and science that there are these 5 C's of healthy media use. We need to consider these 5 C's when we talk to our families about social media and media in general. So, number one, the child. Who is this child? Who is this adolescent? What are their strengths? What are their challenges? And how does it shape what they use? And how does it shape how they react and they feel about what they're using? Second C is content. What content is worth their time? Is it high quality? Is it negative? Does it negatively affect their thoughts, their emotions? And so content is so important. Or is it positive? Are they learning new skills and recipes and dances and so on? And is it educational, for example? Calm. How does your child calm down from strong emotions and settle down, especially from sleep? Sometimes media can help in this manner, but we don't want to be dependent on it either. Sometimes it can affect how we calm and can be dysregulating. Number four, crowding out. Simply said, what is media crowding out or getting in the way of what they should be doing, such as sleep, homework, or spending time with family or exercise? And five is communication. Understanding your child's digital experience, supporting their critical thinking and their problem solving, and having that two-way dialogue with your child, again, early and often. Next slide, please. Well, you might be sitting there asking yourself, well, it sounds easy, Sarah, but how do we do it? How do we help our families implement it? Well, one helpful tool you might mention is the AAP's Family Media Plan. The plan is an online tool that parents use to set media priorities that matter the most to them. So it's really designed for the family and can be used for every member of the family. So here's a quick video for more details about the Family Media Plan. So, Sahavi, if you would play for me, please.
What is media? It's television, smartphones, video games, apps, social media, smart speakers, and any other technology connected to the internet, whether at home or at school. A family media plan is a personalized agreement that can help your family find balance, both online and off. The plan provides age-based tips to help you communicate about media and resources to make the plan work for your family. To create your plan, simply start by entering some information about your family. Next, select from a list of 8 specific priorities that matter most to you and your family. You can choose them all or just a few. Then, save your plan and refer to it whenever you need to. Get started today.
This media plan is actually really fun, and I encourage the whole family to use it, including parents. Next slide, please. Oh, here we go again. So make a plan. Here's some tips we can help our families get started. So encourage parents to create rules around media and technology that are in line with their family's visions and remind them to explain these rules to their kids. Okay, so here are some rules to consider, like screen-free zones. This strengthens families' face-to-face connections. So screen-free zones like the dinner table, such as their bed. I often tell teens, especially, use your bed for sleep, not homework, not using media, so that when biologically, literally, your body knows when I'm in bed, this is when I sleep. So set up in maybe another space for homework and time to share with friends or use media. So set up screen-free zones. A great example is that dinner table. Set up screen-free times, such as during homework, as I mentioned, or before bed, so it doesn't interfere with learning or sleep. And have a one screen at a time rule. So turn off at devices that are not in use to minimize distractions. So screen-free zones, screen-free time, and one screen at a time. It's a good idea to remind parents to create a plan for every member, including themselves, like I said. Parents are important role models. We know that. And practical, healthy digital habits and establishing healthy technology includes them. Encourage parents to revisit and revise this plan, though, because at the beginning of every school year might look different in the summer or during a holiday or on a rainy day, or maybe even when a child is not feeling good. And it should evolve as the child matures and develops. Next slide, please. Really keeping kids healthy online is our top priority, and parents know this. And so they want to know about controls and privacy settings that can help with that. So some, though, controls settings can be so complicating. I know it was for me and still is. So reviewing the parent control and private privacy settings options on all their networks. So the devices, not just the apps, but the devices and the apps that they use. So your own Wi-Fi, your televisions, your phones, gaming devices, tablets, and of course the apps. And all families are different, so choose a setting that's right for theirs. So there's like content blockers and filters so that you can prevent access to inappropriate websites and content. There's time limits, so you can set time limits on screen time so that certain times a day there's a pause in their ability to use screen time. Some parents do this like at bedtime, for example, or during time when they're supposed to be at the dinner table or doing homework. Monitor tools that help keep track of devices and device use. So there's tools that can help you know how often and how much your child is using. And then privacy and security settings to control data and information. It is so important for parents to talk openly and often about these controls and how to choose them for their children because we really want to protect them online. For older teens and children, let them help choose those settings. Do it together, review it, and help them change it over time, especially as your child starts to show more responsibility and independence. Kids want agency over that, and it's okay. And if you start that conversation early, it's going to be easier to do it later. Next slide, please. I love this food pyramid slide. It's for media consumption, as you can see it. So, just like any other food pyramid, the lower part is something you can do a lot of, and the upper part is really like what we want to use sparingly. So we use freely things that you do with your kids, PBS, skill building, creating, affinity groups, music, books, podcasts that are appropriate. And then you start to get into the moderate use occasionally, and then finally sparingly. Next slide, please. Watch together. I love this. We know that children learn more about media when they share the experience with adults. Explore digital content together. It's so good for parents too. And they learn about their own child's interest. And it starts that conversation about media and really strengthens that family relationship. So here are some ideas to help parents get started. Maybe schedule a movie night or watch an episode or two of your child's favorite streaming series. This can be a great way to talk about what they like or they dislike, and really remind parents to put away their own phones so that they can be tuned in together. Play games together, use apps, watch videos together. Ask the kids to show them around their favorite game and video platform, maybe what they built, what they saw, and what they learned about it. And co-viewing also allows them to connect and discuss topics that they might not have known how to bring up. It also helps kids make connections and see things from someone else's viewpoint. Next slide. But fair parents can help their kids also feel it's let me restart that. It's also important that parents help their kids feel comfortable coming to them about what they see and experience online by staying open and judgment free. I remember when my kids were, younger and they would come to me and want to talk about some sensitive things. My initial reaction was to put my fingers in my ear and go, la 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 la, like I don't want to know. But you need to take a deep breath and you just need to like be open and know that they can come to you and that you're a safe zone for them. So here's some tips to help these conversations get started. Talk about being good digital citizenships and how citizens and how to use technology safe and responsibly. Ask their children about what they see and experience on their device. Talk openly about these dangers and challenges and sensitive world events. There's so much going on. Like, what do they know about it? What do they do about it? How do they feel? Ask them, don't tell. Make it a two-way dialogue. Encourage your kids to look for positive content, not just follow a platform that's recommended or picked for them. I tell kids in my practice all the time, if it doesn't make you feel good, you probably want to unfollow. Remind that when their kids talk to them, even if it stresses them out, like I said, take that deep breath and keep the conversation going. And that lets their kids know that when they talk to them, that it is important and that they are important, that they can come to you about these topics. Next slide, please. Digital citizenship is so important and it helps us navigate this ever-changing big digital environment in a way that's safe and responsible and respectful. I love the think before you post. These are great mnemonics. How does it affect you? How does what you affect your post affect your community? Avoid oversharing. You want to protect your privacy, like what you put, what's in the background. Does it show where you live? Does it have protected information about you, even if you don't know? I'll give you an example. I took a picture and my cousin gave me a really cool wooden sign that had the coordinates of our home that was special to me. And I realized that if I posted that, people might actually be able to find me. And you might think, wow, that's super creepy, but there's creeps out there. And we also want to save their reputation. I remember my son was just tagged in a post that someone else posted, but he wasn't even in the picture. He was just tagged in the picture. And my husband got a phone call from one of his clients saying, I don't know if I can continue being one of your clients based on a picture that I saw your son was tagged in. Wasn't in the picture, didn't make the post. So all these things are really important. I used to tell my kids too, if you say it, if you put it out there, if your grandma, if you wouldn't show it to your grandma, you shouldn't put it out there. Because once it's out, you can't bring it back. Even if you delete it, it's out there and you no longer are protected from it. So we got to help our kids, help our parents, help our kids navigate this rapid and constantly changing digital world and give families control over social media effects and their mental well-being. It's not going away. And I want to change that narrative and keep it as positive as we can because as I mentioned, there is some positive to it, but we want to navigate and help our families help themselves and their kids so that we can really use this in a healthy way. Next slide, please. Role modeling, man. Our kids are constantly watching. They're listening to us. They're watching us in the office too. That's why from the youngest of ages, it's important for parents to model this healthy digital habits. So swiping and scrolling's easy, and it's so easy to get caught up in endless content. I mean, even for adults, how many people, and I know I can't see you, have been doing something, and next thing you know, you're like, how did that hour just go by? It happens even for us. So we need to remind parents to take close look at their own relationships with technology. And here's how. So check your own digital habits. How well are we doing with distracted-free zones like driving? Pledge not to use digital devices while you're driving. Be a parent in the moment, not distracted by their phone. There's this term called fubbing, and it's a term that means snubbing when somebody is using their phone in favor of being present around somebody else. So now you know a really cool term called phubbing. Practice good digital citizenship yourself, being kind and safe online. Remember, kids are watching. They're reading what you write too and what you're posting. Prioritize IRL, in real life activities. So research shows face-to-face time is essential for the child's healthy development. So encourage parents to plan plenty of family activities that do not include screen times. One of the resources that the AAP's Social Media and Youth Mental Health Center has these conversation starters for teens, okay? And they're just in English, but they'll be in Spanish soon. And then they also have these really cool family activity um, planners like movie night or when it's hard to put technology down. And this is in Spanish. And so we'll share the QR code on how to get to the Center of Excellence so you can access these resources. And the Center of Excellence will send it to you and your office. You just have to pay for the postage. Next slide, please. So I think that we would be remiss to not mention cell phones because many parents ask us, when's the right age to give a child their first cell phone? And this decision causes a lot of anxiety. And it's really, again, goes back to that no one size fits all kind of answer. So smartphones in particular are often that portal of internet, apps, and social media. And on one hand, parents may worry their child's not ready to have that much access to the digital world. Yet, on another hand, they may want their child to have a way to connect to them after school or when they're going to a friend's house or for other reasons. So, AT&T created this phone-ready questionnaire to help parents decide whether children are ready for the responsibilities of a phone. And that's really the key. Are they do they have the developmental capability and to be responsible for their cell phone? So this 10 question tool that was developed in collaboration with the American Academy of Pediatrics really helps parents gauge their child's behaviors, their developmental maturity, and their family values to calculate one of three recommendations. Are they ready? Are they almost ready? Or not ready yet? Next slide, please. So cell phone policies, a lot of schools are already implementing, and I do believe in 2026, it's going to become a reality. So start to help parents normalize time away from phones. So normalizing time away from phones, not just in school, but in other ways, those screen-free zones, those times away from phones will help. Help teens and tweens see the benefits of phone-free time. Use those built-in phone settings that will help. Teach non-tech ways to calm down and reset their brains. I recently got back from the AAP's national convention, and there was a study that showed when they talked to kids themselves and said, what are their concerns about no phones in school? And one of them said, quite honestly, I need to play this like video game sometime between classes because I get really anxious and it's a way to calm me down. I have to tell you guys, in all honesty, I did I do that myself. Like even in my clinical practice, sometimes when I get a minute, I play a game of solitaire on my phone just to calm my nerves a little bit. And I was like, "Oh man, I do that." We need to acknowledge that this is a real thing. And so we need to start finding ways that are non-tech ways for kids to calm down and to reset their brains. And also advise parents to reduce how much they text their kids during school. Another study showed that most of the texts that kids get from school is not between each other, but from their parents. I have a funny story about my son was one time in class and he was answering a text on his phone, and the professor stopped the class and said to everybody, "Oh, excuse me, Gabe Adams. Who are you talking to that is more important than the class and the information that you are learning?" And he stopped and he looked and he goes, "My mother." And it was really funny because it was true. So we really need to advise our parents that they need to also reduce how much time they text their kids and make a plan to get in touch. Now, sometimes emergencies are a thing. So having a plan ahead of time will help ease the anxieties for both parents and kids on what could happen. Now, there are going to be some medical exemptions, and we need to be prepared for this because I think our families are going to be coming to us and asking for those letters. So, as providers, we need to start thinking about and making a plan. Remember those 5 C's, especially the child. And it's important to think about when we are deciding, am I going to write that letter for this child, for this family or not? What challenges will they face? Go through all the C's. What medical problems, such as diabetes and use of the phone in order to control their sugars, etc. There are some real reasons, and maybe they do need a tech way to calm down. So each is going to be designed, and I want you to be ready to create a plan for your families as well as your parents. Next slide, please. So I want to go over some key takeaway about healthy digital habits. So media is everywhere, right? So help families define it, its role. Don't fear it. We need to change that negative narrative and remind ourselves that there is a positive. And the way to help with the negative potential outcomes is remind them of balance, how much time they spend online and offline, set boundaries, and open that dialogue, that communication, and how balance, boundaries, and communication are really essential tools. Introduce them to that family media plan. I'm telling you, it's practical and it's customized. And co-view, tell parents, watch together, talk often, model, and parents are their child's best teacher. I love that comment. I'm like, as a parent, you are their teacher, you're their counselor. There's so much value in that parent-child relationship. And pediatricians and pediatric caregivers and anyone that is a pediatric healthcare provider in any of our fields and across all kinds of disciplines. Your guidance empowers families to build safe and healthy digital routines. So let's help families thrive in this connected world. It only takes one conversation at a time, one step at a time. There's a lot of information. So use motivational interviewing to ask them, what's one thing you can do to change today that can be helpful? Maybe the only thing they can start doing right now is just putting their phones down and having dinner together once or twice a week. And I'm telling you, you start somewhere and then you build upon those digital habits. Next slide, please. So here are those resources that I promised you that are available to help families create healthy digital habits. So my favorites, the AAP Family Media Plan, as I mentioned, it sets priorities that matter most to the family themselves. Parents can learn about parental controls from Common Sense Media Parents Ultimate Guide to Parent Controls. There's an AT&T Screen Ready website that also has free tips, tools, and resources to help them manage their online experiences. The AAP Center of Excellence in Social Media. They also have something that I think is super cool, and that is they have this Q&A portal, question and answer portal, where parents and clinicians or anyone can submit a question. okay, about social media, about kids and mental health or anything. And what happens is this team of experts, they create personalized answers based on an evidence review, okay? And their answers are added to this library of answers so we can help others with similar questions. So even if you don't have a question, you can go in and look at this Q&A portal and read some of the questions and the answers that others have submitted. I'm going to leave that up just for a second so that you can access it. And then we'll go to the next slide, please. And Parenting in Mealtime and Playtime, which is an Ohio AAP as supported by the Ohio Department of Health. We worked hard to create an app, Parenting at Mealtime and Playtime app. And it's got over 300 expert tips tailored for each child's age, and it's refreshed randomly. It's very easy to use. It's got just one sentence or couple sentence resources. Resourceful information is how I should put it, about eating, about playing, about connecting with your family based on age and development. And we're really proud to be launching this, and there's ways to download it. And also we have the one QR code is if you'd like access to our printed material. We have handouts about just about anything you can think of in regards to spending time with family. Good sleep habits, eating, picky eating, activities, ways to build healthy habits, etc. Next slide, please. I really want to thank you so much for joining us at this presentation. And once again, if you could take a few minutes to fill out this survey. Um, I'm really honored to talk about something that I am so passionate about. I really feel strongly about helping families just create these healthy digital habits because, as I said, we're not going away. It's not going away. And there are positives, but there are negatives. So we need to talk early. We need to talk often. We need to help our parents and guide them. And these resources are here to help you do just that. You're not alone. So thank you very much. We have time for questions and also the next slide shows you how you can also collect CME as well.
Thank you so much, Dr. Adams. We'll take a moment for questions if anybody has any. You're welcome to unmute or put it in the chat.
Yeah, hi. This is Landon Krantz out in Cincinnati. Thank you for this talk. This is so great, and to be aware of all these resources I didn't know about before. And like you said, it's not going away, and it's very prevalent. So thank you. One question I had is that for a lot of my patients that I see, especially like really younger, like 4, 5, 6 year olds waiting for me for the well check or on their parents' phone while they're waiting. They're so hooked in because the media is so stimulating that parents are really afraid to pull back. And so when I see things like the family media plan, this looks like, a great way to get ahead of it, or is my kid ready for a phone yet? A great way to get ahead of it. But what advice would you have to counsel parents of teenagers, but also young children who they're kind of already sunken into the media world? And it's, how do you back off that, or how do you know, almost addicted to it, recommend kind of having a healthy use?
Yeah, that is such a great question and one that comes up so often. And I'm going to answer it two ways. One is I'd like to point out that they have done some studies, and even the AAP on early childhood development in that area has actually done some research on how the like a phone or a tablet or something can actually help kids and toddlers in that age group calm in order to be okay with the doctor coming in. So I really appreciate you mentioning that. Like you come in and you notice that they're using it. And so I think number one, normalizing that sometimes that it does calm a child, but then going to the second part of my answer is that there is real struggle when it is time to take away. And that's where really setting those boundaries can be hard for these families, especially if they, like you said, they're already using it. And now all of a sudden we're like, okay, well, one child has had just unlimited use, and now all of a sudden we're going to take it away. And so I really think it's again that one step at a time, screen-free technology, and saying, because you're not going to go, okay, now all of a sudden somebody goes from using it this much to now you're only going to be able to do it this much. So you got to do it stepwise. And really, even though they're toddlers, and I know I feel like toddlers are like teenagers, so we can really apply this to anyone, any age gap, really. And that is that, it's really hard to reason with them. So something small. So you might start with saying, we're going to go into the doctor's office and I'm going to let you use your phone and until the doctor comes in. And when the doctor comes in, then or provider, whoever it may be, it's going to be time to put your phone down. Or maybe you say you can use it until they're ready to do your exam, however you want to design it. And acknowledge with the parent that it is going to be hard, those initial steps when you start to make those boundaries, but then to be consistent, just like any other behavior change that we like to make, and say, tell them, like, acknowledge with the child what they're feeling. I know that this is really hard, but it's really important when we're with other, adults, or when we're in the doctor's office, or when it's time to eat dinner together, when it's time to go to bed, when it's time to play, when it's time to take a shower or bath, whatever it is, to set that up and just, keep communicating the importance, but really acknowledging the discomfort that the child is feeling. Now, obviously, when the kid is dysregulating, I know as a parent, oh, is that hard? Because what do you want to do? I remember one time a comedian said, I just want peace, not justice. So it's so easy to go, oh my gosh, here, just take it, just take it. I can't take it, and we have to acknowledge our parents are going through a lot, and it's easier just to give it back and not listen to the chaos. So you got to tell them, look, set a time and a place that you're going to do this, and make a commitment, but start small, and expand it over time. Don't just say, tomorrow we're going cold turkey, no more phones and tablets, blah, blah, blah. Start small, having tech-free areas, and then don't give in, be strong, try to distract, and if they're just dysregulating, I say a calm brain calms a brain. Take deep breaths. If your child is good with like talking it out, fine. Maybe your kid, especially toddlers in the time of dysregulation, you might need to just let them dysregulate while you try to just regulate your own emotions. Of course, making sure that they keep safe. So that was a long answer, but I think this is really complicating, and each family is going to be a little bit different. And so I start small with one again and use motivational interviewing. Use an open-ended question with the family when they ask you, what do you think is the first step you can take? Instead of telling them, ask them, what's one thing you think you could start doing right now when you leave? And that might be, like I mentioned, just no tablets or phones at dinner once or twice a week, and start there. And then, especially if it's super problematic, or, that addicted, whatever we want to say, but problematic is definitely a real thing. I would follow up with them, because we know, like I said, it does lead to behavior issues, mental health, sleep, and obesity. So thank you for that question. It's a great question. And if you do, like I said, that Q&A portal, if you really have a challenging family that you're just like, I don't know how to help them, go to the Center of Excellence and ask. There's such a wealth of information, and you can do it case by case.
Thank you for that great question, and Dr. Adams for your thoughtful response. Are there any other questions?
This is Michelle Dritz. Can I just actually add something to the great stuff that Dr. Adams was saying, but for those teens in particular, when you're trying to talk about like pulling back on already maybe problematic challenges with tech.
Yes, please.
sometimes I'll actually use that as an opportunity, like above and beyond the asking the question of what are some ideas the family has, the teen has, the parent has, but throwing out some ideas that include like, what can the family do together, and including throwing out some ideas like making some strategies around like everyone keeps their phone downstairs and out of their room at night. So that it's not just the teen that's doing that, but letting the parents start doing that at the same time. So it's like modeling and helping everyone live a little bit a healthier tech life. And it also helps make it feel like the teen's not the only one that's sort of being sort of focused on in terms of their health habits, and also really helps improve sleep and all those sorts of things that are often one of the things that are often at the root of it. So, but the point being that just because we're already into the tech issues going on doesn't mean that we as parents can't pull back if we're struggling with tech issues. It's really nice if we can kind of get out of it, but we can always pull back if need be.
Thank you so much, Dr. Dritz, for that response. You bring up such a good point, and that is too, it not having it in your room reminds me of something I didn't mention as well, and that is for some families, they may need to use technology based on their children and their child's values and so on, and only be able to use technology in one space in order to make sure that their child is safe. But I love that you include the parents in that too, so the child doesn't feel that it's just them. And we don't want them to feel like it's a punishment either, because I know one time I tried to do that with my own son. You would have thought I was cutting off his right arm, by telling him to put his phone down, and so we have to be gentle with that. And by doing that, we're helping the parents too, because likely they themselves are could use some more sleep and activity and time with their families. What other comments or questions? I'd love to know too what's worked in your clinics, as well as any questions that you have.
I will include Dr. Adams' email in my follow-up, so you are welcome to send her questions or ideas or suggestions for what has worked for you after the conclusion of our meeting today. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining, and thank you so much, Dr. Adams, for hosting. On the next slide here, you will see a QR code to claim your CME and MOC credit. Please also check your email. I will be following up with those instructions to claim your CME and MOC credit. We ask that all participants complete the short survey even if you do not plan to claim credit. This will enable us to collect endpoint data to measure the rigor of our programming. Once you complete the survey, you will receive a certificate within 10 days, and as I mentioned earlier, I will follow up with these directions via email for your reference. If you have any suggestions For future Ohio AAP programming, please call or email me at the contact information listed here. I will pop it in the chat. And this concludes our training today. Thank you so much for your time and energy, and I hope to see you in another Ohio AAP training. Have a wonderful day.